Hi, Arup. You're there? You're able to listen to us?
Yes, I can hear you very clearly.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, just want to test before we start.
Yeah.
Thanks.
I'll go back to mute.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
A very good afternoon to everyone in this 8th convocation of the School of Planning and Architecture, Bhopal. I, Nikhil Ranjan Mandal, Dean Academics at this institute, will conduct the 8th convocation. It is our privilege to have eminent scholars and professionals with us online, and we are grateful to them for having spared their time for this auspicious event. We are conducting this 8th convocation online and not as an in-person event as we face the limitations of gathering due to the ongoing pandemic. I, on behalf of the director, member of staff, members of faculty and students of SPA, warmly welcome the chief guest, Sri Rama Ravi, Director, Indian Institute of Human Settlement, Presiding Chairperson, Board of Governors, SPA Bhopal, Architect Ashutosh Kumar Agarwal, members of the Board of Governors, SPA Bhopal, and members of the Senate, SPA Bhopal. We will start with an invocation. I request everyone present in this hall to kindly rise.
कीजे सृष्टि सेवक जान अपना इतना वरदान दीजे तान ताल और आलाप बुद्धि अनंता माता सरस्वती शारदा हे माता सरस्वती शारदा विद्यादानी दयानी दुख हरणी जगत जननी ज्वाला मुखी माता सरस्वती शारदा हे माता सरस्वती शारदा
I request Presiding Chairperson, Board of Governors of SPA Bhopal, Architect Ashutosh Agarwal, to declare the 8th convocation of SPA Bhopal open.
This convocation of School of Planning and Architecture, Bhopal, has been called to confer degrees upon the candidates who have been certified to be worthy of receiving the same. I hereby declare the 8th Convocation open.
Thank you, sir. I now request Director SPA Bhopal, Professor N. Sridharan, to deliver the welcome address and present his report on the institute activities.
Honorable Chief Guest, distinguished members of the Board of Governors and Senate, dear faculty and staff members of School of Planning and Architecture, Bhopal, invitees, dear graduate students, ladies and gentlemen. It is indeed our great pleasure and honor to welcome you to the 8th Convocation of School of Planning and Architecture, Bhopal. We express our utmost gratitude to you all for being part of the convocation ceremony. I consider it to be my great privilege to present the progress of SPA Bhopal since the last convocation held on 8th December 2020. SPA Bhopal has always been constantly endeavoring to contribute its share in addressing the challenges related to the built environment through sustainable planning, innovative design, and technological solutions. We are proud to place on record that in the last 1 year, the Institute has made excellent progress despite the COVID pandemic situation. We are delighted to inform that in this convocation, a total of 213 graduates, 18 undergraduates, 122 postgraduates, and 2 PhDs will be awarded degrees. Besides 2 medals of overall excellence, 9 proficiency gold medals and best thesis awards will be given away this time. It is our utmost pleasure to inform that during the past 1 year, we have increased the faculty strength and highly qualified young and energetic faculty members to cater to our academic needs. All our faculty members have been actively contributing to academic and research through publications in the peer-reviewed journals and participation in various national and international conferences. In addition to this, many of our faculty members are also contributing to several ongoing prestigious research and consultancy projects. We have recently applied the patents under our Design Innovation Center, an initiative of the Government of India. Despite the pandemic situation, though our near and dear ones we lost, our faculty members and students bravely went through this period and came out successfully. Very soon, we would be reopening the institute on a phased manner for online classes following the COVID standard operating protocols. We are proud to place on record that we presently have much joint collaboration with several national and international institutes for high repute like UN Habitat, GIZ Germany, NITER Bhopal, NID Bhopal, ICER Bhopal, the Madhya Pradesh State Bamboo Mission, and many more. We are happy to inform that the Ministry of Panchayat Raj has identified SPA Bhopal as a national center for setting up spatial planning for rural areas at the Gram Panchayat level. SPA Bhopal prepared the revision of Rural Area Development Plan formulation and implementation, known as RADPFI guidelines, which is at national level prestigious work. Given our expertise, experience, and our participation in various committees of the Niti Aayog relating to urban planning, education, and hill area planning, Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs, and Ministry of Panchayati Raj, SPA Bhopal got an opportunity to contribute to the project first of its kind at national level for agro-based project logistic optimization in Indore Devas region. We take great pride in informing that we have been actively contributed to several projects in the state of Madhya Pradesh. The Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs, Government of India, has invited SPA Bhopal for reviewing the smart city programs across various cities of Madhya Pradesh. SPA Bhopal was also associated with the two flagship metros of Madhya Pradesh in Bhopal and Indore for land use planning in various identified zones. SPA Bhopal is now taking a lead role in setting up the Biodiversity Park in Bhopal, that is first of its kind in the state of Madhya Pradesh, along with the collaboration of the Madhya Pradesh State Biodiversity Board. We are training the students in their career counseling across the Madhya Pradesh as well. It is heartening to note that we could successfully conduct a number of academic activities with the help of collaboration of various external experts and organizations in the past 1 year. We have organized many special lectures, workshops, webinars, and training programs for students, professionals, and officials. We have also conducted various programs for urban resilience in collaboration with NIDM, NIUA, Awas per Sanvad, Professional Development Program for officials of Town and Country Planning Organization of Madhya Pradesh, and principals of the schools of across MP for career counseling in the field of architecture and planning. In all these, we have experts from UN organizations, national organizations, and universities across the world. We are glad to inform that recently we have celebrated Hindi Pakwara to promote the knowledge, publicity, and use of Raj Bhasha in official work. SPA Bhopal published Pandan, a highly language journal. Our students have made us immensely proud by their participation and achievements in various national and international competitions. Through our training and placement cell, even after the effect of COVID, we have provided an opportunity to our students to undergo internship in various institutions of high reputation. We are delighted to inform that many of our alumni have been placed and some became entrepreneurs and are now successful in contributing to various organizations in India and abroad. It gives us pleasure to inform that in the past 1 year, we could successfully augment our institute infrastructure as well. For the first time, we interface between brown, green, and blue in our campus. Brown, the construction of the long pending academic block was initiated and the progress is now in full swing. Green and blue developed during the pandemic with wide plantation activity and deepening of lakes. Besides, we have also started with a number of green initiatives in our campus through water harvesting, solar energy integration, electric bicycles usage, etc. It is a social response. As a social responsibility, SPA Bhopal opened up our hostel for the COVID warriors till 2020. In the past 1 year, we have made many efforts to make structural academic changes in line with the National Education Policy 2020. We have carefully planned for our future and are planning to come up many new academic degree programs that are sustainable in the allied disciplines of planning, architecture, emerging technologies, and systems into our curriculum. We look forward to successfully contribute by shaping that future leaders in the fields of planning, architecture, and design. We once again congratulate all our graduates and proud parents who trusted SPA Bhopal for this journey on this wonderful occasion of 8th Convocation of SPA Bhopal. We wish you a very bright future ahead. Stay healthy and stay safe. Jai Hind.
Thank you, sir. Under the able leadership of Director Dr. N. Sridharan, SPA Bhopal has scaled new heights in education and research in architecture, planning, and design, and is continuously striving to move further ahead. We wholeheartedly thank him for his leadership. We are also grateful for the support of all distinguished scholars and professionals who are part of all academic advisory bodies of the Institute, the members of the Senate and Board of Governors for their vision in shaping this institute. Ladies and gentlemen, please give a big round of applause for the various achievements of our institute in last 1 year. Now we will start the event of awarding degrees. We will start with the PhD degrees. I now request Professor Dr. N. Sridharan, Chairperson of the Senate of SPA Bhopal, to award the degrees of Doctor of Philosophy. Architect Sweta Saxena has undertaken her doctoral work titled Design Build Studio, a pedagogical approach for architecture education in India. Architect Balaji V has undertaken his doctoral work titled Role of Music in Shaping Cultural Landscape, a case of Kaveri Basin. Thank you, sir. All of you may please applaud for the degree recipients of PhD degrees. I now request Chairperson, Senate of SPA Bhopal, to award the degrees of Master of Architecture across all specializations and request the heads of respective departments to come forward. I request Head of the Department of Conservation, Dr. Visakha Kawatekar, to come forward, please.
Sir, I present the candidates who have satisfied the requirements for the degree of Master of Architecture Conservation are considered worthy of receiving the same. I recommend that they are admitted to the said degree. The name of the candidates of Emerge Conservation 2021 batch are as follows. Sharvari Sharat Chandra Kulkarni, Sushri Swagatika Khatau, Vishnu K. Suresh, Mahima Khandelwal, Renuka Paradkar, Himali Ranjan Hardas, Gayatri G, Ruchi Pandey, Bhoyar Vasundhara Pramod, Aman Sharma, Atira TP, KB Mamta.
Thank you, Dr. Kawatekar. I now request Dr. Rama Umesh Pandey to announce the names of the candidates from the Department of Landscape Architecture.
Sir, I present the candidates who, having satisfied the requirements for the degree of Master of Architecture Landscape, are considered worthy of receiving the same. I recommend that they be admitted to the said degree. The names of the candidate of MArch Landscape 2021 batch are as follows. Snehal Ramteke, Isha Jain, Trishila Gupta, E. Gundandani, Atre Ghosh Chaudhary, Joya Mateen, Ajit Kumbhar, Sindhu CH, Priyanka Agarwal, Stuti Arora, Asha Rajan, Priyanka Gupta, Oshandeep Kaur, Gargi, Akshaya S,
Thank you, Dr. Pandey. I now request Head of the Department of Urban Design, Dr. Anand Wadwekar, to announce the names of the candidates from Department of Urban Design.
Sir, I present the candidates who, having satisfied the requirements for the degree of Master of Architecture Urban Design, are considered worthy of receiving the same. I recommend that they be admitted to the said degree. The names of the candidates for MArch Urban Design 2021 batch are as follows. Praleen Priyakumar, Varun Kathuria, Paridhi Rathore, Ravi Prithvi Nagasai Kumar, Challa Monica, Pavan Kumar Dontham Setti, Aditi Saini, Charlie Gupta, Ashish Kumar, Ridhu Dhan Gehlot, Ashwini Rajiv Desai, Arunima, Shraddha Sharma, Pragya Sharan Hotwani, Ashwath G, Lavti Parth Ramesh, Pius Saurabh.
Thank you. I now request Dr. Anand Wadwekar to announce the names of candidates from the Department of Design.
Sir, I present the candidates who, having satisfied the requirements for the degree of Master of Design, are considered worthy of receiving the same. I recommend that they be admitted to the said degree. The names of the candidates of Master of Design 2021 batch are as follows. Gaddamwar Sai Shri, Rashi Kataria, Saumya Banchod, Shrunkhala Thakre, Manisha Varkade, Rajat Kumar, Agman Bharadwaj, Rachana Veluguti, Oindrila Sen, Kartikeyan V, Sushrut Jangid, Tanya Agrawal, Rohit Surek, Srinivas Vasantrao Shinde, Bhavsar Kalpesh Anil, Harsh Suhane, Dhaktode Sainath Gangadhar.
Thank you, Dr. Wadwekar. I now request Chairperson Senate of SPA Bhopal to award the degrees of Master of Planning across all specializations and request respective heads of departments to come forward. We shall start with Department of Environmental Planning. I request Dr. Rama Umesh Pandey Head Environmental Planning Department to come forward, please.
Sir, I present the candidates who, having satisfied the requirements for the degree of Master of Planning, Environmental Planning, are considered worthy of receiving the same. I recommend that they be admitted to the said degree. The names of the candidates of Master of Planning, Environmental Planning 2021 batch are as follows. Mayank Singh, Shefali Senapati, Monica Umre, Supriti Das, Shreya Deosan, Soumya Shri Sahu, Saili Deosan, Nitin Kumar Srivastav, Amiksha Jain, Purva Singh, Ishani Garg, Rishikesh Balasai Satapute, Deepak Singh, Akriti Bhagwat Munhekar, Sajida Shahna, Mosby Saili Siddharth, Aparna M.R.
Thank you, Dr. Pandey. I now request the head of the Department of Transport Planning, Professor Nataraj Kranti, to come forward, please.
Sir, I present the candidates who, having satisfied the requirements for the degree of Master of Planning, Transport Planning and Logistics Management, are considered worthy of receiving the same. I recommend that they be admitted to the said degree. The names of the candidates of Master of Planning, Transport Planning and Logistics Management 2021 batch are as follows. Neha Nair, Sneha, Akshay, Kaila Naga Venkata Tejaswini, Prabhudatta Das, Ramya Relangi, A. Vijay Lakshmi, Abhirup Mohanty, Abhishek Barik, Abhishek Naik, Zishan Ahmad, Shruti Dubey, Monica, Prashant Bahuguna, Harshita Sharma, Ish Kumar, Alka Kumari, M. Akhil.
Thank you. I now request the head of the Department of Urban and Regional Planning, Professor Nataraj Kranti, to announce the names of candidates from the department.
Sir, I present the candidates who, having satisfied the requirements for the degree of Master of Planning, Urban and Regional Planning, are considered worthy of receiving the same. I recommend that they be admitted to the said degree. The names of the candidates of Master of Planning, Urban and Regional Planning 2021 batch are as follows. Apurv Agarwal, Samragi Paul, Shiv Shankar Bagdi, आदित्य एकनाथ गुजारकर, श्रेया जायसवाल, निधि अग्रवाल, भूमि श्वेता साहू, रोहन धाल, प्रियंका पांडा, पल्लवी सिंह, खुशबू रानी, सारस्वत शेखर सारंगी, हरीश गुंदेला, सलका खान, अभय विश्वास, इशिता प्रज्ञा, दीपक राणा, राधिका शारदा, गरिमा तमराकर, साक्षी खरे, मोहम्मद लारेब अहमद, शैलजा सिंगला, वेद प्रकाश नायक, नीतू गोदे, मोनिका ए, श्रीपर्णा साहू,
Thank you, Dr. Kranti. All of you may please applaud for the degree recipients of MR, MDes and MCline degrees. I now request Chairperson Senate of SPA Bhopal to award the degrees of Bachelor of Architecture, and I request the Head of the Department of Architecture, Dr. Piyush Hajela, to announce names of the candidates from the department.
Sir, I present the candidates who, having satisfied the requirements for the degree of Bachelor of Architecture, are considered worthy of receiving the same. I recommend that they be admitted to the said degree. The names of the candidates of Bachelor of Architecture 2021 batch are as follows. Samragi Nista, Reta Mani, Anandita Gupta, Safia Rahman, Binay Kumar Gupta, Melanie Mary Marshall, Meghna, Parul Gupta, Sanvi Bhutani, Umang Jain, Ishan Panwar, Shweta Deshmukh, Sunile Harshal Rajkumar, Vaishali Sahu, Purnima, Gaurav Patel, Gunraj Singh Talwar, Lakshay Jasoria, Astha Parikh, Vijaya Singh, Medha Verma, Sagarika Sengupta, Anisha Suri, Ananya Vachar, Sachi Jain, Panishti Jindal, Sayogita Rana, Mansi Garg, Aditya Narayan, Sarthak Ahuja, Nikthanjan Kingston Singh, Shinu Tayal, धीरज उमाकांत मलेकर, यशो आदित्य, श्री कुर्मम नितिशा साई किरण, एलिना लिजा, एलमिचिला सुधीर, आशीष शर्मा, प्रेरणा के संगमा, अंचित अग्रवाल, वैभव अग्रवाल, आलोक शाक्य, सौम्या गुप्ता, प्रत्यक्षा मिश्रा, मोहम्मद के अब्दुल्ला, सलिल सुबैर, सानिया मल्होत्रा, वासिम खान, आयुष आर्य, ऋषभ कालरा, कुलकोत श्रवणी, मृदुला खेर, जयती दुदानी, दीक्षा निम, मणि मखीजा, विद्युत पॉल गोगोई, कस्तूरी मंडल, गरिमा अग्रवाल, अमलान ज्योति सैकिया, अमुदन वी, कशिश कोचर, विदुषी गुप्ता, शिवांगी तोमर, सिमरन चक्रवर्ती, अनान्या शर्मा, दीक्षा, लूनी माधव डोले, आदित्य विक्रम, क्षेत्रमयूम पूर्णतारा सिंह, प्रतीक वर्मा, डी पवन कृष्ण।
Thank you, Dr. Hajela. I now request Chairperson Senate of SPA Bhopal to award the degrees of Bachelor of Planning and request the head of the Department of Urban and Regional Planning, Professor Nataraj Kanti, to come forward, please.
Sir, I present the candidates who, having satisfied the requirements for the degree of Bachelor of Planning, are considered worthy of receiving the same. I recommend that they be admitted to the said degree. The names of the candidates of Bachelor of Planning 2021 batch are as follows. Sumit Sangam, Saeed Anwar, Muddasani Venkatesh, Oshnika Bhatt, Shritika Anna John, Kelam Sharat Chandrika, Akhilesh Singh, Saumita Mandal, Sayani Mandal, Muskan, Ishita Singh, Vibhu Singh, Shriyali Agarwal, Peddi Sandeep, Muhammad Muslim Ansari, Muhammad Faizan Danish, Shweta Soren, Mannam Hanish.
Thank you, Dr. Kranti. All of you may please applaud for the degree recipients of B Arts and B Plan degrees. All degree recipients of all programs may please listen to an exhortation by the chairperson of the Senate. Sir.
By virtue of the authority vested in me as the chairperson of the Senate of School of Planning and Architecture, Bhopal, I do hereby admit the doctoral scholar to the degree of Doctor of Philosophy. Each of the Master of Architecture candidates under various specializations to the said degree. Each of the Master of Planning candidates under various specialization to the said degree. Each of the Master of Design candidates to the said degree. Each of the Bachelor of Architecture candidates to the said degree. Each of the Bachelor of Planning candidates to the said degree. I charge them all to prove worthy of their degree throughout their life.
Thank you, sir. As the Chairman Senate has admitted all the degree recipients to their respective degrees, I would have requested the Registrar of SPA Bhopal to present the record of the degrees to the Presiding Chairperson Board of Governors, Architect Ashutosh Kumar Agarwal for his signature. I request the Chairperson, Architect Ashutosh Kumar Agarwal, to kindly confirm the same and request the Registrar to show the register to the viewers.
I confirm the records.
Thank you, sir. In accordance with the tradition of committing themselves to their profession, all the degree recipients may please take a pledge. I request Dr. Sweta Saxena, recipient of the PhD degree, to please come forward and take the pledge on behalf of all degree recipients.
We, the graduates of School of Planning and Architecture, Bhopal, hereby pledge that we shall always endeavor to be scrupulously honest in the discharge of our duties as architects, designers, and planners, that we shall always endeavor to utilize our knowledge of architecture, design, and planning for the service of our country and the glory of our institute, that in all circumstances we shall try to uphold the dignity of the individual and the integrity of the profession, that we shall in word and deed guard against all narrow loyalties and sectarian prejudices and cherish with pride the integrity and unity of our country.
Thank you, Dr. Saxena. Now it is time to award the Proficiency Gold Medals across various programs. Sir, I present the candidates for the Proficiency Gold Medal for Best Academic Performances for the year 2021 across different programs. Bachelor of Architecture, Meghna. Bachelor of Planning, Sayani Mandal. Master of Architecture Conservation, Vishnu K. Suresh. Master of Architecture Landscape, Snehal Ramteke. Master of Architecture Urban Design, Ridhu Dhan Gahlot. Master of Design, Rohit Surek. Master of Planning, Sajida Sahanum. Master of Planning, Transport Planning and Logistics Management, Shruti Dubey. Master of Planning, Urban and Regional Planning, Apurv Agarwal. Sir, this year Senate and BOG have approved award of Certificate of Appreciation for Proficiency. Sir, I present the recipient of this certificate. Master of Planning, Urban and Regional Planning, Sakshi Khare. Now it is time to award the best thesis awards for the year 2021. Sir, I present the recipients of these awards across different programs. Bachelor of Architecture, Safia Rahman. Bachelor of Planning, Bibhu Singh. Master of Architecture, Vishnu K. Suresh. Master of Architecture Conservation, Vishnu K. Suresh. Master of Architecture Landscape, Atrey Ghosh Chaudhary. Master of Architecture Urban Design, Charlie Gupta. Master of Design, Rohit Surek. Master of Planning, Environmental Planning, Sriya Devsant. Master of Planning, Transport Planning and Logistics Management, Prabhudatta Das. Master of Planning, Urban and Regional Planning, Apurv Agarwal. Sir, this year Senate and BOG have approved award of Certificate of Appreciation for Thesis. Sir, I present the recipient of this certificate. This goes to Bachelor of Planning, Muskan. The Institute awards the SPA Bhopal Medal of Excellence to one undergraduate and one postgraduate student for all-round performance. For the year 2021, the award goes to Jayati Dudani of Bachelor of Architecture program from among undergraduate students. Aman Sharma of Master of Architecture Conservation program among postgraduate students. Thank you, sir. All of you may please applaud the medalists and certificate recipients. Now, I request our presiding chairperson, Board of Governors, to kindly address our graduates. Before the chairperson addresses you, let me introduce him, although he needs no introduction. Architect Ashutosh Agarwal is an architect and urban designer practicing at Delhi since 1991. He has done his bachelor's from Roorkee in 1986 and master's from USA in 1989. He is a visiting professor in various institutes of NCR for the past 25 years. At present, he is the member of Delhi Urban Arts Commission, National Joint Secretary of Indian Institute of Architects, and member of BOG of SPA Bhopal since 2016. He is an ex-secretary of ACAE, that is Arc Asia Council of Architecture Education, ex-member Senate of SPA Bhopal, and advisor to Ministry of Defence Government of India for War Memorial and Museum. He runs a charity foundation of self called Ekatma Manav Foundation with focus on issues related to environment. He is also a trustee of a trust of intellectuals at Delhi called Jigyasa. I now request Architect Ashutosh Kumar Agarwal, presiding chairperson of Board of Governors SPA Bhopal, to kindly deliver a talk to the students.
Thank you, Professor Mandal. The distinguished chief guest, Shri Rama Ravi, an eminent personality and an internationally reputed expert on climate change and sustainable development, my fellow members of Board of Governors and esteemed members of Senate, Professor N. Sridharan, Director and Chairman of Senate, faculty, staff, and graduates of School of Planning and Architecture, Bhopal. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my indeed great pleasure and honor to deliver the convocation address on this auspicious occasion of the 8th convocation of School of Planning and Architecture, Bhopal. First of all, I take this opportunity to congratulate all the graduates who would be receiving their degrees, gold medals, and appreciation awards today. Usually, convocation being a formal event, speeches are formal too. These are part of ceremony, but this moment is special both ways, for all of you and for me as well. For you, it is a milestone in your professional life, and it will remain engraved in the back of your minds. For me, it is special because before shouldering this privilege of being chairman of SPA Bhopal, I am an architect myself. It is hence my duty as a fellow professional, as a teacher, as a mentor, to say a few personal words to you about what lies ahead. You can take it as last unavoidable preaching. As a first point, I would tell you that the respective degrees today may mark end of your educational stint, but your learning should never stop. Rather, it begins now. You would have to learn several things beyond the classroom that would be needed for you to use your skills as a professional. You are about to take your first unsupervised, uncharted step outside this campus, for which I know many of you would be thanking your stars that this day has finally come. Some of you would choose path of teaching, some will choose other professions, but some may choose to practice as an architect. For them, my advice is to learn your craft well. College has imparted you with the desired level of skills to start this learning process. My humble advice is that as professional, please do not take degree as the final step. 2 days back, Professor Galla, in his keynote speech for Foundation Day, told that architects as professionals must connect with community, engage with community. Form of engagement may vary though, from individual to individual and community to community. And do not work in silos. One more thing I wish to say on behalf of SPA Bhopal, that despite of receiving your degrees today, the umbilical cord which joins you to this college is not cut. And whenever you feel need, please give a call to your teacher, to your director, and to me. We shall always be just one phone call away, and it will be our delight to help any of you in any way that we can. On this occasion, I also take pride in applauding SPA Bhopal, which is one of the 3 dedicated premier national institutes in the country, offering a total of 9 degree programs, along with doctoral program in the field of architecture, planning, and design. For the past years, I have been closely associated with this esteemed institution as the member of the Board of Governors. I am proud to place on record that the institute has been making all-round progress. It is heartening to note that besides being committed to shaping the future professionals, SPA Bhopal is also contributing to various social causes with great responsibility. I'm happy to note that in line with its vision, the institute is making every effort to produce the best architect, planner, and designer of the nation for efficiently addressing various challenges of the built environment. I am further delighted to note that SPA Bhopal has increased collaborations with several institutes of great reputation in the past 1 year. I congratulate my dear friend, Professor Sridharan, the director, who steered the SPA Bhopal along with well-qualified and experienced faculty. Meticulously designed curriculum, continuous contribution to a number of academic, research, and consultancy projects. Today, the institute has become one of the leaders in the field. I am extremely happy to note that the construction of the new academic block is under rapid progress. I extend my invitation in advance for all of you to drop by when it finishes to see what you have missed out. I congratulate SPA Bhopal for all its eco-friendly and green initiatives taken up in the recent past. Dear graduates, I understand your enthusiasm to receive your degree. I also understand the importance of this day, as this day opens up new avenues for your bright future careers. In difficult circumstances under COVID, you continued with your hard work and successfully completed the courses. It is great matter of pride to note that many of you have made the institute, your teachers and your family proud through your achievements at national and international levels. With your creative skills and knowledge, you are now qualified in every way to find and explore solutions for addressing the challenges of our country. I am confident you will constantly work and deliver the best and make our nation proud. You are the wealth and knowledge pillars of our nation. Be humble and be sensitive to your fellow beings. I once again congratulate you, all of you, for your proud and your proud parents too. On this occasion, I wish you all the very best for the bright future. Jai Hind.
Thank you, sir. It is indeed a rare opportunity for students to listen to you on their graduating day. May I now request you to kindly introduce our chief guest and welcome him for his convocation address. Sir.
Shri Rama Ravi is the director of the Indian Institute for Human Settlements. In short, it is called IIHS, a prospective institution of eminence and interdisciplinary national university focused on urbanization. For a dozen years, he has built IIHS into one of the world's leading education, research, training, advisory, and implementation support institution. Shri Aromar is an international expert on sustainable development. He is the co-chair of the UN Sustainable Development Solutions Network called SDSN, from where he helped lead a successful global campaign for an urban sustainable development goal, SDG 11, as part of the UN's 2030 development agenda. Shri Aromar is commissioner of the Lancet Pathfinders Commission that will identify and communicate global, regional, and local pathways to a healthy, low carbon future. He is also a member of the Task Force on Global Health Diplomacy and Cooperation of Lancet COVID-19 Commission that will make recommendations on strengthening global governance and multilateral cooperation to build better, paying particular attention to global health governance and science diplomacy. I invite now Shri Rama Ravi to deliver the convocation address to our new graduates.
Namaskar, Abhinandan. Chairperson, Professor Sridharan, faculty of SPA Bhopal, graduates of the class of 2021, other members who are present, ladies and gentlemen, it's a great pleasure to be with you. It's wonderful to see a new national institution sort of emerging, an institution of national importance that's working in a very critical field. India has a deep set of interesting challenges and opportunities around the built environment. So whether it's architects or urban designers or planners, we all need many of you to come in and help shape the future. In some senses, this is a very difficult time. I really sort of underline the fact that you've been deeply courageous, both faculty and students, to be able to graduate in a COVID year. COVID has completely disrupted not only our lives, but our economy, and have really contributed to suffering across the country. And this is a time of celebration, but it's also a time of poise and a time of reflection. So what I'd like to say is that you are actually now the custodians, as many of us are stepping away from the kind of work that we've done in the last many decades. You are the custodians of the largest urbanization in human history. Up till now, China's urbanization has been the largest urbanization, but as India's population exceeds China and our urbanization will probably be longer, you're actually the custodians of one of the most dramatic changes that we're going to see, not only in the history of our own lives, but also, I would say, in the history of our planet. And much of that will happen in and around you, will come from the practices that you are part of, the kind of research that some of you may do, and the kind of policies that you will try and implement over the course of the next 20 or 30 and maybe a little bit longer of your professional lives. So it's an important point in history. It's an important day for you, but this is the beginning of an opening into a portal of new opportunities in some senses. India is also in a very interesting situation. We're 1/3 rural, 1/3 urban, 2/3 rural, but you were actually going to translate into a country over your practice of your careers into one that's going to be at least half urban, half rural. And why is this important? This sort of draws upon many decades of work that I've done. Professor Sridharan has led this process in other parts of the, many parts of the country. The challenge for us in some senses is to keep the balance between the rural and the urban. These are in some ways arbitrary categories, but India in many ways is a country that even now has about 6.5 lakh villages, but has only, and we'll see how that emerges in the 2021 census, my estimate is anywhere between 8 and 10,000 urban centers. So keeping the balance is very important, because most other parts of the world, whether it's Europe or North America, certainly Latin America, and even now China, are moving headlong into societies which are concentrated in large urban areas. But that has been driven by an economy, by a form of consumption that's been driven by fossil fuel in some cases, and in other places by fossil energy. And as we know, given the severe environmental crisis that are facing us every day, this is not going to last for very much longer. We are past peak oil, and there's a big debate about peak coal at the moment. But basically, this form of development that we've seen for the last 100 or more years, in some cases 150 years, is no longer sustainable, is actually going to end very quickly. So what does that mean? That means that we have to use and make sure that the basic services that support our cities, because cities don't produce everything, food, water, ecosystem services, are actually maintained. And how can that happen for a country in which 95% of the population is in urban areas and only 5% of the people produce the food, protect the lands and the forests that give us the water? They are going to be in a deep challenge, but India is not like that. We have the opportunity to keep this balance, and I think that's going to be one of the more interesting challenges that you will face. There'll always be the draw to build larger and taller buildings and build mega cities that look like cities in other parts of the world. But for us, this balance is very critical. It's part of our cultural heritage, of course, as one part of it, but it's also a part of how our built environments are going to be maintained. And in that sense, I think the big challenge for us is going to be, or the big opportunity for us is going to be, actually taking our smaller towns and larger villages and transforming them, allowing them to be able to provide the kind of services we expect in large cities like Bhopal or Delhi or Mumbai or Chennai or even other parts of the country, and make that available right across the country. And this is not an easy question. People working in the regional planning field try and address it at this regional scale, but this has to be addressed at a very, very concrete, practical sense to make things happen. So that's the first proposition that I will kind of lay out to you. The second thing is, urbanization is interesting and it's important. Our imagination as a country is still very rural in some senses. And urbanization is important because it does many things. It concentrates population, it creates opportunities, it creates tremendous economic opportunities. There are economies of scale that come from urbanization. You have better services, you have better access to cultural institutions. Almost all the universities that we have in this country are concentrated in urban areas. So there's tremendous opportunity that brings people there for jobs. It brings them for education. It brings them for a whole range of other reasons. But there's also something else that we have to look at. And very often our education doesn't prepare us for. And that is, while there's a very positive side of urbanization and built environments that we create, there's also what I call the dark side. Because cities concentrate a whole range of other things. And all of us who live and work in our cities know that. They concentrate poverty, they concentrate conflict, they concentrate risk, and they also concentrate, especially as climate change becomes even more sort of impactful in our environment, they also concentrate climate change. So we have to learn how to balance these processes, and much of what we learn and we teach in most of our institutions doesn't sort of prepare us to do that. But in the real world today, that's exactly what you have to deal with. Whether it's Chennai that's currently dealing with a whole set of challenges in terms of rain, and in a few months they will have questions of where they get their water from, or other cities and other regions that are engaging with it. So keeping that balance there is also quite important, and we need to embrace that and understand how to deal with this in our practical life. So whether it's a building where you're trying to move it to net zero energy, or net zero waste or actually trying to deal with water security. These are all parts of what we need to do as far as that's concerned. But more than that, as a collective, as a set of professionals who are working in the built environment and are trying to transform not only the areas that we work in, the buildings, the neighborhoods and the cities themselves, there are a couple of things that I think are very important. The first thing is that in our lifetimes, I would hope, and let's say the generation that I belong to has kind of failed in this space. I hope we're going to see the end of poverty in this country. And as you know, urban poverty is deeper than rural poverty, but they're connected to each other. That means that we have to create and enable vibrant cities where economic life and economic opportunity is not only available for everybody, but also it's integrated into the urban fabric, into the planning and the urban design. And that, I think, is a big challenge because we come from multiple traditions which don't necessarily respect the fact that our cities, our built environments are actually highly unequal. So poverty, I think, is the most dramatic thing that we have to deal with. Urban poverty is more complex to deal with than other things. This is one thing that in some senses, whether you're an architect or maybe an urban designer, you may not have signed up for, but that's going to be part of the choices that you make as you move forward as professionals. The second thing is, and COVID has shown this to us in very, very dramatic ways. All of us experienced the lockdowns. All of us saw the kind of suffering that, tens of millions of people had, especially people in the informal sector when they left cities and they had to walk back sometimes hundreds of kilometers to their villages. And in some ways, in the reverse challenge when they had to come back to the cities. And that is, we live in a world that's highly unequal. I mean, COVID has shown that to us very, very clearly, not only in this country, but across the world. So we live in an unequal society. We live in an unequal environment. In some senses, I would say inequality is probably a greater disease and challenge than poverty. They're connected, of course. And that is one thing that I think in all the work that we do, whether it's in barrier-friendly design, in looking at how you can make places accessible for children, for people who are older, and of course for all citizens. You need to have green spaces. You need to make a whole range of changes in the built environment. Dealing with inequality is something that I think many of us struggle with, but I think this is something that you would really have to confront and deal with, because that's one thing that's going to make our cities better places. And if you're not able to deal with that, then I would say the consequences that we have to deal with. Already things are very, very challenging in many parts of the country. We have cities that have, almost 60% of the population living in informal settlements. That has to end. And this structural inequality is tied to many things. It's tied to how the land market functions. It's tied to how we plan and organize spaces. It's tied to the access of infrastructure, whether it's water and sanitation at one end, or of course, dealing with questions of transport. And most critically, we've seen this in the last year or so, it's even tied to the access to the internet. I mean, we've had, whatever it is, 250 million young people, including ourselves, really being challenged in terms of access to education. And more than half of these people, I would say in some states, even more, a larger proportion, have not had access to the internet. So this is a new world in some ways. And we have to look at trying to bring these things together. So you're well-trained as high-quality professionals, very committed to dealing with something in your own space. But whether it's buildings, or it's conservation, or it's urban design, and of course, all the different shades of planning that we deal with, whether it's the bachelor's level or at the master level, the challenge for us is to try and integrate all of these processes together. Because for our lives, all of these experiences are integrated. And of course, in the built environment, we learn how to bring all these things together. But I think as the world becomes more complex, we have more and more people inside the world that we live in. We have more people in urban areas. We have, inequality that's not going away, and we have poverty. We need to try and bring all these solutions together, because there isn't much time to do this. So, I work a lot on climate. Those of you who've been following it, we've just come out of COP26 last week. And from the climate community, we've been saying for a while just now that, things are quite difficult. We are probably going to see a 1.5 degree centigrade overshoot starting in the 2030s, just at the same time that we're trying to transform our economy. India is trying to become, a multi-trillion-dollar economy, which is driven, of course, by urban areas. But on the other side, we have, big challenges like COVID, which have shown us in a sense, how vulnerable we are, how fragile our systems are, how unequal we are. But we also have challenges around climate, and even deeper than that, we have deep challenges of biodiversity. So the time for us to act on that is actually quite limited. I produced a fairly important report in 2014, which basically said one very simple thing, and that is, if we allow the temperatures to rise to 2.5, 3 degrees, which is in a sense what many of our countries have committed to in Paris, and that was a debate in COP last week. If we allow that to happen, essentially there is no difference between New York, London, Mumbai, Bhopal, or Kolkata. It doesn't matter whether you live in a high-income country or a low-income country. Basically, our ecosystem services, which basically mean our agriculture, our food security, our water security, are going to collapse. And if we do not address those questions sort of preemptively, we're going to be in deep trouble. So we need to bring together all of these solutions, and you are the people who are going to be executing these solutions over the next 20 or 30 years, together to help transform our built environments, to transform our built environments in relationship to the natural environment in which we all live. And in fact, COVID is a very interesting example of that. COVID basically is a zoonosis that's come from the interface between the natural and the built environment. It started in one small place in China, and then it spread across the world and has infected all of us. So these risks have to be dealt with. And if we're able to do that in a sensible manner, as high quality professionals and people who are committed, we can actually make a significant difference, because this is the world that we have to build. And these are the transformations that we're going to be leading over the next 20 or 30 years of your life. So congratulations again. I look forward to seeing many of you as you become leaders of your fields in this country. And a special congratulations to our colleagues from SPO Bhopal and Professor Sridharan for actually building and nurturing an institution that's going to last, I think, for a long period of time and make a dramatic difference to this country. Thank you very much.
Sir, on behalf of the Institute, I thank you for addressing our graduating batch of 2021. It was indeed a very thought-provoking and inspirational address. Thank you so much, sir. Now it is my privilege to propose a vote of thanks. On behalf of SPA Bhopal, I would like to extend our heartfelt gratitude and thanks to all those without whose support the 8th convocation would not have been possible. I thank the Ministry of Education, the Board of Governors, the members of the Senate, the Finance Committee, and the Building Works Committee for their support in different functions of the Institute. I thank our esteemed guest, Sri Rama Ravi, for taking time off his busy schedule and for addressing the graduates. I thank the Presiding Chairperson Board of Governors for his gracious presence on the occasion. I am grateful to each and every member of SPA Bhopal, that is faculty, staff, and our director, Professor N. Sridharan, without whom the convocation would not be possible. And last but not the least, our deepest gratitude to the graduating students and their parents and guardians for having chosen SPA Bhopal and having been with us in our journey. Thank you all. I now request the Presiding Chairperson Board of Governors to declare the convocation closed.
I now declare the 8th convocation of the School of Planning and Architecture, Bhopal, closed.
All present may please rise for the national anthem.
Ga